Okay. Hello and welcome to my channel if you're new, and I don't even know what to say because I don't normally do sit down videos. I just do vlogs on my channel. But hi. Basically, so today is the 10th. I'm filming this on the 10th, but tomorrow is the 11th. And so tomorrow, which will be today for you, the 11th of December, it will be 7 years since me and Matthew lost our first baby. I was 21 plus 6 days pregnant when we lost our baby. And I've never really spoken about it. So I wanted to make this video to give people, you know, I want people to be aware about like late miscarriage, and I want people to understand what happened because I've never really spoke about what happened. People just know that I've lost a baby. They don't know why I lost Harley. They don't know anything about it. So I am going to talk about that. I have wrote notes down. I do remember everything, but I just wrote notes just to make life a bit easier for this video, so I'm not sitting here with loads of spaces. So I'm going to start here. So on the 2nd of December 2011, me and Matthew had our 20-week scan. So we found out the gender of our baby. We found out that we was having a boy. And I was so happy. I cannot tell you. And on the night of the 2nd of December, I had McDonald's that night for dinner, and this will come into play. So basically I had McDonald's on the 2nd of December for dinner. So the next day, on the 3rd of December, in the evening, late at night, pretty much, like 10 o'clock at night really, I started getting really bad stomach cramps, and like I was under the assumption that maybe it's because I had McDonald's the day before and it made me ill. And then I was in so much pain that I was starting, do you know, like when women are in labour, they moan. I was doing that because the pain was so bad, and my dad heard me. He woke up from his sleep and he heard me, and he came to check on me. And you know, he's worried. It's like, oh, maybe it's your, like he would say the same thing, like maybe it's the McDonald's, it's playing with your tummy. So that, obviously that's just the assumption. You don't assume that, oh, I'm going to lose my baby. You don't assume that. You don't assume that at all. So he went back to bed, but this pain was still going on. Obviously my mum had heard my dad get up. And when he went back to bed, they must have had a little chat. And then my mum got up and she came to see if I was alright. And she was like, no, this is not good. We need to take you to hospital. So at this point, it's early hours of the 4th of December. And my mum and dad rushed me to hospital. So they rushed me to hospital, and I get to the hospital. And they'll go into this little room and I get checked over. They're asking me a few questions. But then the 2 midwives leave. And when they leave, my mum says to me, are you sure it's not just a stomach ache? Because, you know, that's what you're thinking. And these 2 midwives left without saying anything. So we're just like, what the hell is going on? Maybe it's just stomach ache. So mum said that to me. And then so I was like, oh, I'll go to the toilet again. I go to sit on the toilet, and I sit on the toilet, and I'm squeezing to try and see if anything will come out. And that was obviously the worst thing to do, because as I was on the toilet, I felt something trickling. I looked, and there was blood. There was blood everywhere. And at that moment I started screaming at my mum, I'm bleeding. My mum then screamed at my dad, go and get the midwives, go and get the nurses, go and get them. They rushed me into a private room. The doctors and, well, there wasn't any doctors there at this point. I think there was just like nurses and like higher up nurses, like senior nurses were there. And they came to me and said, we've got your bloods back, you've got MRSA. If you don't know what MRSA is, it is a life-threatening infection. It can kill you. And because of that, I was told that it's inevitable, you're going to lose your baby, because if you don't have the baby, you'll die too. And at this point, obviously, I'd pushed her. Harley was halfway out the womb anyway. So they was adamant that I was going to lose him, especially as I had MRSA. They kept telling me, if you don't have the baby, you're going to die too. You are going to die if you don't have this baby. But I was adamant. I was like, do you know what? I ain't giving monkeys. I don't care. I am waiting this out. Yeah, I'm waiting this out. I'm going to see if I can get to 24 weeks, because I think, I'm not sure of the dates, but I would have been at that time around 20 weeks and a couple of days. And so I was like, no. I knew that it was like 24 weeks roughly that you had to be to have help for your baby to get them to survive, to go into like the NICU. So I was like, no, I'm waiting, I don't care. Obviously everyone was like to me, no, you know, my mum understood. Like, my mum was the only one who sort of stood there and was like, you know, this is your baby, this is your decision. Because at the time I was only 15, and my mum was still sort of like, she still sort of let me make that decision. Like, even though she had the right to make the decision for me because she was my parent and I was only 15, my mum let me make that decision myself. And I will forever be grateful for that, because that just, you know, it was my baby, and I'm glad she let me make that decision, even if it wasn't, you know, even if what other people agree that maybe it wasn't the right decision. At least I had that decision, it was mine. The hardest thing for, well, it wasn't the hardest thing for me, but something else that was really hard for me is, in all my years of life up until that point, I had never seen my dad cry. That was the first time I'd ever seen my dad cry, when he like was, because obviously this was like he has grandchildren from my brothers and sisters, but he's not their dad. So it was like, even though he sees them as his grandchildren, it's kind of like it was his first biological grandchild. And I think that's probably why it's hard hitting for him. And that was hard for me to see, because it's just like, you never seen my dad cry, and that was the first time I'd ever seen my dad cry. That was not cool. But nothing against him for that, because, you know, it was hard for everyone, you know. And as for Matthew was obviously at home at the moment. Because I was texting him while I was having the pains, because obviously we was young. I was 15, he was 17, and so he was at home with his parents, and I was texting him that I was in pain. And eventually I went to the hospital, and then when I was in that room being told all this stuff, I rang Matthew up straight away and was like, you need to get to the hospital now. And Matthew was there in the hospital up until the day I left the hospital. Matthew was there every single day bar one, because I told him to go home and get a good night's sleep, because he was having to sleep on a little fold out bed in the hospital, and that's not cool. But Matthew was there like the whole time, and I was in there for about a week and a half, and I love him for that, because he didn't leave my side. Like, he was a 17-year-old boy, he could have left my side at any point, but he didn't. He was there. But anywho, back to what happened. So I obviously was adamant that I was going to, you know, I was going to hold out. The medicine they was giving me for the MRSA has started to work. It was working. It wasn't affecting baby. So it was all good to go, really, to keep going. Obviously they couldn't give me anything to stop my contractions, so I still kept having contractions, and I was in severe pain all this time. But I had gas and air, and I was fine the entire time I was having gas and air. They was taking my bloods twice a day. Obviously I don't have very good veins. I'm one of those people who have crap veins. So it was taking them at least 3 tries before getting the blood from me. So I was essentially obviously I'm getting my bloods taken twice a day, but it takes on average 3 times for them to get my blood. So essentially I was getting needles in my arm 6 times a day. And as you can imagine, I fucking hate needles now. I hate them with a passion. And not to mention, obviously, when you have is it the cannula in your arm? When you have a cannula in your arm, they also have to change that every 2 days, because of infection risks. So it's having to have that done every 2 days. So that's just more needles that's having to have. Not cool. But in between this time up until the 10th of December, so I went into hospital on the 4th of December, early hours in the morning, so like 1 o'clock in the morning, or the 4th of December, and up until the 10th of December, so 6 days, I was having contractions, but I had gas in there the entire time, and so I was okay, I was dealing with it. But on the 10th of December, a new midwife I had never seen before comes in the room, and she says to me, I've got to take the gas and air away. And I was like, why? She's like, I've just been told that I've got to take it away. And I was like, well, is there any other medication that I can have to, you know, any other painkillers that I can have? And she's like, I don't know. She was just like, she was not a nice lady. She just took the gas and air away, wasn't interested in helping me, didn't care, have any compassion whatsoever. I so wish I had complained about her, really do, but I didn't know her name, and that was the first and last time I even saw her. When she said that to me, I was like, well, I'm gonna have to have the baby then. Because I was being my stubborn self, but I was like, I'm gonna have to have the baby then, aren't I? And she was like, well, that's a decision we'll have to wait for. We'll have to wait till tomorrow to make sure your decision is still the same. Obviously, I'd still been having contractions all this time through the night from the 10th to the 11th. And that given moment when she said took the gas in her away, that was like a heartbreaking moment for me, because that was the moment I realised that, that was a moment I realised I wouldn't be able to go any further, because at that point I would have been 21 weeks and 5 days. So I still had like over 2 weeks to go on. And there was no way I was going to make those 2 weeks with no painkillers. I knew that was the end. I knew that, you know, I do feel like it was me giving up, and I always hate myself for that. Composure, Chloe, composure. Damn. Okay. So, obviously the 11th, I'm all red now. I've got red eyes and everything. Gosh. 11th of December comes around, and that's it. I'm having Harley. And so I had him, and that was so hard. Because even though I was only 21 weeks and 6 days when I had him, he looked like a little baby. He looked like a perfect little baby, and he was so perfect. But there's more to it than just that. So obviously when you have a baby, you still have to deliver the placenta. So the midwife says to me, right, we need to deliver the placenta now. So I'm pushing and pushing, because I can feel stuff like in my uterus essentially, and I can feel the stuff there, and I'm pushing it out. And so I'm pushing and pushing, and this midwife looks at me like, she's looking down at me, and she's just like looking down at my bits, you know. She's looking down at me, and she's like looking a bit puzzled, like, what is this? She goes and gets another midwife and a nurse, and they come in, and they're all looking a bit like, this is like, and I knew something was wrong. It's like, this is not cool. I was like, right, we need a doctor to come in and check you. He's not going to be available for like another God knows how many hours. I had Harley in the afternoon, sort of evening time, on the 11th of December, and so I didn't get to see the doctor until about, I saw him in the early hours of the morning on the 12th of December. He put his hand up me, and he was pulling just blood clots out, and they were big blood clots. They were like sort of this size blood clots. They were huge, and he said to me, right, we're gonna have to book you in for surgery tomorrow. It needs to be done.
I forgot to add that I had to have 2 blood transfusions as well when I had my surgery. So before I went in for surgery, I had 2 blood transfusions because of how much blood I lost.
That for me was just like an, oh fucking shit, for fuck's sake. Like everything that already happened, and now I have to go and have surgery. And to top it off, my birthday is the 13th of December, so I was having surgery on my 16th birthday, which I'm not bothered about the fact it was my 16th, but it's just a bit shit, like you spent your birthday having surgery. But it's one of those things that I don't care anyway, because nothing mattered in that moment. I just wanted my baby back, but I knew that wasn't going to happen. So I went to have my surgery on the 30th of December, and everything went fine, and I started healing, and the MRSA had pretty much cleared up. I think I left the hospital on the 16th of December. On the 16th of December I was supposed to have my last lot of bloods taken, just to confirm that I can go home and that the MRSA had cleared up. And I will never forget this. I don't know if he was a new doctor or whatever, but this guy comes in and he tries to take blood out of my wrist. And he got the needle in. He was like, oh no, it hasn't worked. Took the needle out. Blood just splurted all over the floor. And I was just like that. Obviously, as I said, I'd had I have bad veins. So I've been having, on average, 6 needles in me a day. Like for all that time I was in hospital. So that last needle, and I see the blood splatter over the floor, I was like, fuck that. That's it. I am done. I am Romeo done. And that was it. Like, there was a really nice nurse there. She's like, no, you should have this just to make sure. And I was like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I've had enough of these injections. I had enough. And I went home and I've been fine since. So it's hard as well. There's not a lot of awareness around. There's not a lot of awareness around miscarriage and losing a baby. And I think it's hard for me because I essentially, like, I didn't choose to get MRSA. That's what's caused me to have the contractions and caused me to, you know, all that to happen. But I still essentially blame myself a bit because I feel like I gave up on Harley. Like, I feel like I gave up. When that lady took the gas and air, I was just like, oh, well, that's it then. Like, I essentially just gave up. I've been in pain all that time, but and I know that it's not my fault. Like, I know, but I do still sit here and think, well, what if I hadn't given up? What if I hadn't? But I think, I know a lot of people probably think you're crazy, but that situation and what happened, it's led me to believe that everything happens for a reason. Lord knows I don't know what the reason was, but I believe there's a reason for it, and maybe in the years to come I'll find out. I don't know. Maybe I won't find out the reason until I die. Who knows? Obviously, I was only 15. Like, I had people bullying me, being horrible to me. And then it was crazy because the moment that I lost Harley, everyone was just sending their condolences, and it's like you was all sitting there judging me for being pregnant at 15. But the moment I lost my baby, that judgment went and you felt sorry for me. I don't need you feeling sorry for me. What I needed was my baby back, which was never going to happen. And I don't know if anyone's seen the shit going around about Team VZ on YouTube, who made a video of a miscarriage prank. That shit pissed me off because I've had a late miscarriage and that shit fucking hurts. It ain't a prank, it ain't funny. Being told that it's inevitable you're going to lose your baby is not funny in the slightest. It's fucking heartbreaking. I don't want to say like or subscribe because that's not even what this video is for. This video is just, it's in memory of him. It'll be 7 years. I wanted to put this video up on his 7th birthday. I wanted to do this video for ages, but I thought it'd be a good idea to do it on his 7th birthday because there's nothing quite like saying happy birthday and letting everyone know what happened to you. He's a lucky boy because my granddad, so good with kids, an absolute sweetheart and the best granddad in the whole wide world, and I will vouch for that till the day I die. My granddad passed away 9 days after Harley died suddenly from a stroke. And every single part of me believes he was taken so he could go and look after Harley. Because I'm not being funny, but what kind of coincidence is that? That I lose my baby and then the one person in my family who fucking was the most sweetest person and was the best, you know, the best person with children was my granddad, and he was the person who suddenly got a stroke and was taken. I believe in the afterlife big time, and I know for a fact that my granddad is up there looking after Harley. But it does make me sad. I wish I could have him back. Like, I look at Ted and Ralph and I'm like, would you have been like him? Would he have been exactly how you are, you know? I love you, Harley. I miss you so much. I hope you're having a great time up there.